Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I thought I'd do a lesson on plotting. Now, if you're already familiar with matplotlib, I think a lot of you would have gone through the plt.show or plt.plot version of things. But today I'm going to be showing you the less known object-oriented version of matplotlib, but you'll start to see that there are quite a lot of similarities. Anyway, let's get started. The few things that I'm going to be going through with you today is I'm going to be starting off with a simple histogram, and then I'm going to be showing you how to do a plot, just a 2D plot, and how to do multiple lines on the same plot, along with scatter plots as well. And then the last thing I'm going to be showing you, this is, I think, what most people refer to as a bit of a correlation plot. But yeah, anyway, let's go through this. All right, so I'm downloading this data set about air quality from UCI machine learning repository. So the second cell is downloading that and unzipping it. And anyway, I'm not going to be focusing on that. The next bit is we're pretty much just reading in the data, and we are doing some data cleaning because there are some missing values kind of thing. But again, let's not focus on that because the lesson is going to be simply on plotting. All right, so now the main thing that we're going to be needing is the matplotlib.pyplot. Okay, so that's the library that we're going to be using to plot. Okay, so we go import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And then if you're using Jupyter Notebooks, make sure you go matplotlib inline. All right, so coming back to my histogram, now what we can do is we can go plt.list. So for histogram, and then we plot this particular column, right? So I think this looking at carbon monoxide levels. And then we go bins equals 50. You can change the bins. I think the default bins, if I don't have this, is 20. So I can get rid of this argument altogether. And you'll see a bit more, so a bit more blocky thing. But let me go to the object-oriented version of this. Okay, so now to get started with that, what you need to go is you have to say plt.subplots, right? So anytime you do a matplotlib thing, always start off going plt.subplots, even though I'm just going to be having one thing, okay? And then it'll give out figure and axes, right? So axes is going to be this object in which we're going to be plotting. And on that, I can go ax.hist, okay? And then I can do my thing. Now, I don't have to have this plt.show thing, but let me just show you what happens if I don't, right? So it gives me all these intermediate values, right? So which I really don't want to do. So if you're doing this on Jupyter Notebook, just go plt.show. If you're doing this on just a notepad and not using Jupyter Notebooks, go fig.show, okay? I'll come back to the fig.show in a bit. Anyway, all right, so now this the data set that we have is actually the carbon monoxide levels and some other molecules across time. Okay, so for about a year or so from 2004 to 2006. So what I want to do now is go date. I want to find the carbon monoxide levels across time, right? So there's a few things that you can do. You can plot a scatter plot, but this time we're just going to be focusing on just the actual value. One thing I should mention though is that you need to make sure that your date is ordered, okay? Because this plotting isn't going to order things for you. So when I just read the data in, the time axis wasn't actually sorted. So let me show you what happens when I don't sort things out. So let me just read this thing in quickly. All right, so we have a data. And now if I was to plot this again, it shows this really bad thing. Okay, so it's going to go back and forth simply because date isn't sorted. So all it's doing is joining up points. All right, so let's go back and fix that. Come back to this. So once that's done, let me run this one again. Yeah, So again, keep in mind plt.show, the only reason I'm showing that is really just to get rid of warnings or any of the intermediate steps that matplotlib might be doing, all right? It's really not necessary. So it's just neating things up. All right. The next thing, plotting 2 lines. So if I want to plot 2 lines, all you have to do is, again, start with subplots. Now, let me come back to this fixed size argument in a bit. But for now, all you have to do is go, just forget the fact that you're plotting 2 things and just go ax.plot. All right. So I have a date versus my carbon monoxide and this thing called NMHC. I'm not sure what that is, but that's besides the point, right? So we're plotting date versus these 2 values. And you can see that it's chosen blue and orange by default. I didn't say choose those colors, but yeah. But one thing you should really do is set a label, right? So as soon as you go ax.plot, say that this line is carbon monoxide, and then the other label, and say this is NHMC, okay? And for you to view these things, it unfortunately doesn't do that by default. You have to say ax.legend. Okay, so as soon as you do legend, it will show what those labels are on this side. All right, it'll choose a side automatically. All right. Yeah, and one other thing that you can do, you can adjust the color. All right. So if you don't like orange, you can set the color to be red. So in this case, I chose C equals R. Okay, so let me just zoom in over there. So C equals R is R for red. There are other colors. So let me just try doing Shift Tab. Yeah. So when you do Shift Tab, it comes up with, the function documentation. Now, let me just scroll down, I think. So yeah, so there's other things like you can, instead of a line, you can have a dash or dash dash. You can have a O. So let me jump to, yeah, so here we go. B for blue, G for green, R for red. But for black, it's not, B is already taken, right? So they're using the last letter instead of K. So yeah, so those are the options that you have. So let me just do R dash dash. Let's see what comes out over here. Oops, all right. It's a dash dash R. Okay, all right, never mind. Maybe it's not a color option. All right, so yeah, you feel free to go and look at the documentation. There should be some examples if you want to change the pattern of the line. But I'll leave that as an exercise to you. All right. So the third thing that I want to show you is with these plots, you can add scatter plots in there as well. Okay. So from memory, when I was using PLT version of it, all right. So when I went plt.plot and plt.scatter, there were some errors, but don't quote me on that. But the good thing is, again, you can just add these plots and the scatter plots on top of each other. All right. So all it's doing is taking this axis object and adding more and more plots onto it as they come. All right, so again, I added labels in. I said ax.legend, and we see this. All right, now what if we actually want to do subplots? All right, so not just a single plot. We want to see subplots so that we can compare plots. So over here, what I've done is I want to compare the correlation between carbon monoxide, I think nitrous oxide. I'm going to go with. I'm not really sure what they stand for. Yeah, so. Suppose I want to see the correlation between all these 3 columns, right? All these 3 data sets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the scatter plots. So the reason I have going a straight line over here is carbon monoxide compared to carbon monoxide. You will get Y equals X. All right. So that's really what we're seeing that there. But all right, let's forget about the actual data. Let's go to the code block. All right. So the first thing that you start off with is you say plt.subplots, and I want a 3x3 grid. Okay. Now, as soon as I say 3x3 grid, I will have one figure, but I will have 9 axes to play around with. All right. So, and the axis is on a shape of 3x3. So that's why in this for loop, I have axis ij that goes like that. So I set the title. All right. So it's not dot title, it's set underscore title. And then I can have a scatter plot of my data. So I choose the column, so the column I and then the column J. Okay, so I've set the columns over here, right? So from my data frame, I'm choosing the data that comes through. But yeah, so and then after that, it's pretty much exactly the same as what you would have done before, right? So I'm plotting the scatter plots, and this is what I end up with. The main thing really to remember is this AXIJ part. All right. Now, suppose I wanted to save this thing. All right. So it's all good that I've managed to plot this in my Jupyter notebook. But for example, if I want to publish this somewhere or save the thing, what do I do? It's quite easy. Now we're going to use figure. Okay, so we go fig.save fig, and then I can put in whatever name I want to save it under. So I'll put in correlations, and then when you go to your folder, it'll save it in the same in the spot that you were running the Python thing from. So I go correlations.png. So it's always a PNG file. Yeah, and then you end up seeing the same thing, all right? So yeah, so again, if you're running this as a script, you have to say fig.show. Okay, so unfortunately, because we are in Jupyter notebooks, it doesn't do that because it says it's a non-GUI backend. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. But please do subscribe and like this video. As always, I put this on my GitHub repository on the Deep School. So on Deep School, there is a new folder called what is it? Data science, right? So under data science, there's a plotting.rpy. Okay, so I have done the pandas tutorial, which we'll go through later. But for today, that's it. And thanks for watching. And lastly, I do have a Patreon thing. So if you have enjoyed this video, please consider buying me a coffee. But otherwise, thanks for watching.